Good evening and welcome to Justeventonline News at 9. I am Anifat Ismail. The news headlines: Federal government plans 21% ICT contribution to GDP. Representative demand for release of 2024 capital allocation to security sector. Federal government assured Nigerians of economic recovery. Labour, House and Ministries urge National Assembly to raise 2025 allocations. EFCC to auction 850 recovered vehicles. NEITI endorses tax reform bills. NEMA distributes relief materials to Niger tanker explosion victims. And on sport, AFCON 2025 final draw to hold January 27 in Rabat. Now the news in details. The Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Boson Tijani, has announced the federal government's plan to raise the contribution of the information and communications technology sector to Nigeria's gross domestic product to 21% within the next 2 to 3 years. He made this disclosure on Monday at the Public Servant Training Institute in Kubwa, Abuja, during the launch of a training program for data protection officers. Tijani noted that the ICT sector currently contributes between 14% and 16% to the nation's GDP and stressed the administration's commitment to positioning the digital economy as a central driver of growth. The House of Representatives Committee on National Security and Intelligence has urged President Bola Tinubu to direct Finance Minister to release the 2024 capital allocation to the security and intelligence sector. Committee Chairman Ahmed Satomi spoke at the budget defense session of agencies under the Office of the National Security Advisor. The committee chairman said capital allocation to some intelligence agencies had not been released, while releases to others had not been encouraging. The federal government has assured Nigerians that the nation's economy is on a steady path to recover and growth, driven by critical reforms and fiscal measures introduced by the administration of President Bola Tinubu. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, made this disclosure on Monday in Abuja during the 2025 budget defense session before the Senate Committee on Finance. The minister expressed confidence that these reforms will transform Nigeria's economic landscape, fostering growth and improving the quality of life for all citizens. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Mohammed Dinyagi, and his Housing and Urban Development counterpart, Ahmed Dangiwa, has appealed to the National Assembly for increased budget allocations to deliver on their ministry's mandate. The Labour Minister called for more budgetary allocation for 2025 to enable the ministry scale up the performance of key areas of its mandate. The Yagi noted that the fund would be particularly used to renovate, reconstruct and re-equip the skills development centers under the ministry and its agencies across the country, aimed at generating employment. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has unfolded plans to auction over 850 cars forfeited to the federal government across different locations in the country. The cars, ranging from luxury vehicles to mid-range Toyota Camry, were recovered by the EFCC in the course of investigations into various financial crimes, including corruption, money laundering, and cybercrime. The auction, according to the statement released, is scheduled to hold in various locations across the country, including Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Kano, and will be executed by the EFCC in collaboration with appointed auctioneers. The Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEITI, has endorsed the 2024 tax reform bill currently being debated at the National Assembly. NEITI, in a memo on its position, signed by its Executive Secretary, Dr. Oji Ogunaya Oji, and addressed to the leadership of the National Assembly and the Chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, identified areas needed to improve the policy gaps in the bill. This was made known in a press statement by NEITI's Communications and Stakeholders Management Acting Director, Mrs. Obiageli Onora. In response to the tragic petrol tanker fire disaster at the Junction in Niger State, National Emergency Management Agency has distributed food, non-food items, and medical supplies to support the treatment of injured victims and provide relief to the affected families. NEMA's Director General, Mrs. Zubaida Umar, visited the community and flagged off the distribution of relief materials. She stated that the intervention was in line with President Bola Tinubu's directive and the federal government commitment to addressing the community in recovering from the disaster. The last on the news is sport. The Super Eagles, along with 23 other contenders, will know the identities of their preliminary group opponents on January 25 as the final draw of the AFCON Cup of Nations Morocco 2025 will be held in Rabat. According to CAF, the draw will be attended by 24 nations that have qualified for the AFCON 2025, while the draw will be conducted at 7 p.m. And that will be all on Just Event Online News at 9. Here is the recap of the story. Federal government plans 21% ICT contribution to GDP. Representative demand full release of 2024 capital allocation to security sector. Federal government assures Nigerians of economic recovery. Labor, Housing Ministries urge National Assembly to raise 2025 allocations. EFCC to auction 850 recovered vehicles. NEITI endorses tax reform bills. NEMA distributes relief materials to Niger tanker explosion victims. And on sport, AFCON 2025 final draw to hold January 27 in Rabat. Thank you for watching Justeventonline News. Hold on tight to your faith and replace worry with worship, panic with peace. For more news, visit www.thejusteventonline.com, and to read more updates, Follow us on our social media platforms with a tap at Justeventonline. You can also send us an email on justeventonline@gmail.com. I'm an Ismail. Good night.